BigFooty Blues. BigFooty Blues. BigFooty Blues. Turn the BigFooty Blues.
And welcome to the BigFooty Blues Podcast, episode, whatever it is. The one after a soul-destroying, coach-killing loss typified by a lack of effort and skill. Yeah, I know. You still need me to narrow it down a bit. Well, I'm not going to. Joining me tonight in the coach's box. Welcome back to Happy Dad, and congratulations.
Thanks. I wasn't sure how this podcast would go after that effort, but, showing up, that's more effort than our boys put in.
Yeah, well done. And also joining us in the box, Dr. Jeffrey ShanDog. How are you, Shan?
I'm good, and I've got some great insight for you from sitting in the box.
How's Gabby going?
She's appearing in court shortly, isn't she?
I think so. Yeah, which is at the moment for walking naked into a Hungry Jack's. Anyway, look, I've let the cat out of the bag a little bit. As has been talked about a fair bit around the boards since Friday night. Edelson was sniffing around in the coach's box behind Mick on Friday night. Guys, what do we think about it? Does this just further heap salt on the wounds of the supporters who feel a little bit alienated from the club and who insist we're beholden to power brokers and, that access is granted to rich men who pay for the privilege?
Well, that's one thing I was going to ask about, actually, because I wasn't too sure how it was that he got in there. Did I read this correctly? There was a raffle or something like that he won? Or did he just use his connections and get in there?
I don't know. Is that what
I think word on the street that I've heard was there was some sort of raffle or competition, something like that within the, I think they call it the Blue Diamonds. I think they had to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're like, I can't remember what they call, but one of my uncles was part of the Hawthorn equivalent. It's like the highest level inner sanctum sort of stuff. Yeah. And he actually, being part of that, he got to take home the 1989 Premiership Cup, and he's got a photo of my cousin in it in his lounge room. So it's that sort of level of supporters. There was a raffle between them.
Right. So, and that'd be kind of similar to that. I can't remember what they called it, but earlier this year we were discussing on Big Footy, there was a supporters night where they invited people in to basically do a Q&A with key staff. And people were wondering why they didn't hear about it, but I think it was the same sort of group. Yeah, I think members who paid the most. Yeah, the
coteries are a bit the next one under, I think. So I don't know if it's the coteries and the top level that got to go into that sort of raffle, or if it was just the top level. But it was just like, it's not advertised. You have to donate a certain amount to the club over a certain amount of time, and you actually get invited to join.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm defending it, but I was just wondering, because I wanted to
that's
the facts with that, but if that's the case,
fly off the handle,
if that's the case, I can sort of go, well, okay, maybe it was a fair and square legit. He won the right to go in there, but again, it's still
his name getting nailed to the wall. I think in this case, I didn't see him having any input over Mick's shoulder, but then again, that might explain a few things.
If these things are still only open to the select few, or those who in clubs where they have a bit of a premium membership or donate a fair bit of money, it still doesn't do anything to alleviate the perception.
That's right.
And even though other clubs do this, other clubs don't have the reputation for being exclusive and for not being real members clubs and not being family clubs and stuff, and we do, and that's something that Trigg said we need to address. But those things don't. I guess we've got to be held to a bit of a higher standard now, because the perception that we're like that is out there, and we need to change that. We need to get the grassroots supporters on board. So, and look, I didn't know whether to mention this or not, Shan, but you and I have both contacted the club seeking access to players, even our sponsored player, Matty Cruiser, for a podcast interview, something like that. I don't know if anything's going to come of that. It's been a couple of weeks now, and we haven't received any. Yeah, we haven't received any response. It does concern me that you've got to be a little bit in the inner sanctum. I mentioned to the club, we're not the enemy. We are loyal to the club, so I don't want to be bagging them out over their decisions at every turn and making these things public. But I do implore them to kind of look at how they're connecting with people, and at least acknowledge people and explain things if you're not going to, in a timely fashion, if you can't make that sort of access available. So it kind of doesn't sit very comfortably with me.
To any of our dozen listeners, on the whole, trying to get someone interviewed on the podcast, if you'd like to write to the club as well and sort of show your support to get someone on to help us out, hopefully they'll respond after they get a few emails.
Yeah, good point. Do it.
Yeah.
On board.
I will give a shout out to the membership department. I did submit a membership idea to that department a little while back, and they did respond and sort of thank me for putting in the effort, and always they look forward to getting feedback from members and stuff, and they do have a few things in the wind and things like that. I'm not sure if they're going to use my idea as such. There's obviously complexities to how you form these memberships, but at least I got a response there and some sort of acknowledgement. So the membership department, thumbs up there. All right, let's move on to the weekend wake.
This is the Weekend Wake.
So, on Friday night, the night that Mick Malthouse broke the all-time VFL-AFL coaching record, Carlton meekly capitulated, threw in the towel, decided it was all too hard, and worse still, it was against our all-time arch-enemies, Collingwood. The scores are not important here.
It's not under 9.
Suffice to say.
That's the most important thing. I don't care if they're not putting an effort in winning.
Carlton had 4 players named in our best. That's pretty bad. Bell, Rowe, Cripps, and Judd all made our best. So, can we get a token, Rowie?
Rowie!
Shan?
I can give a token, Rowie, but you can always have best to the worst. It doesn't matter. Even the wooden spooners have a best and fairest award.
Prior to the game, Michael Jamieson was ruled out, and Robbie Warnock came into the side in his stead. Strange selection, guys.
I'd like to say that it was a bit uncharacteristic of Robbie Warnock to run out there and do nothing all game, but I think we all know how that goes.
Yeah, it was unbelievable though. Going into the game, that we saw the changes that were coming in. That Blaine Boakhurst was going to be playing. Wiley was coming in. Everyone was excited to see the change that we've been hoping for a little while now, to start blooding these kids when they're ready, and to come in and sort of have a bit of a different Carlton lineup out there, one that's probably looking towards the future. And everyone was pretty happy leading into the game. And then the late change happened. And then we were all just unable. I don't know. I don't understand the change, and I don't think the explanation that was given was particularly satisfying. They wanted to bring in Warnock so that Warnock didn't have to do the whole game on his own, which is what he's been doing previously anyway. And we lack outside run, so let's drop a key defender for a ruckman who's even slower. It's perplexing. I don't understand it at all.
No.
No. It was.
Although, how many
ruck.
goals did Wood kick?
2.
So you could argue that Wood was our most prominent key forward.
Well, yeah.
So, and then Warnock was our ruckman, and then Jacks was our backman with Rowe. So if you look at it that way, Wood being a forward ruck rather than a ruck and having 2 ruckmen, even though that's not his best role. His best role is the ruckman, but that's probably the way the balance came in the selection table.
Yeah,
but it's very, very silly to go in against Travis Cloak with Jacks and Rowe.
Wood wasn't. He wasn't playing like a.
No, he wasn't.
So it's not like he was leading out and actually creating the contests and stuff like
tall
that.
For tall, that's where the balance comes into it. We weren't really losing a whole lot of outside run, as previously just mentioned. If we had a drop, say Doherty, and then brought in Warnock, that would be very, very perplexing.
Yeah. Look, Collingwood,
did we have outside run anyway to lose?
I don't know. We've got some players in the side capable of outside run, but then they're working. The ones that are kind of required all hands on deck back in defence because the ball was coming in so often. So you'd like to see Doherty up forward a bit, running up the wings a little bit more, but he's constantly having to cover for the turnovers of his mates. So the outside run was blunted. And Bakehorst only came on just after half time, didn't he? Because
early mid third term. He did all right.
Henderson subbed out of the game. Bakehorst in. He's got a 3-week hamstring injury after playing half a game for 0 disposals, nada, nothing, donuts.
Gave away a free kick though, didn't he?
He had a tackle.
Gave away a free kick. Then, it's good stats.
Yeah, I reckon I'd fake a 3-week hamstring injury if I'd had donuts at half time too.
And what really disappoints me is he's one of my favourites too.
Yeah, he just doesn't look right though. Even going into that game, did he? He doesn't look like he's had pace for a while. Intensity
Yeah, for someone I thought that would have a decent impact this season, he's very, very disappointing. I don't know what the issue is. There might be a niggle or something, but yeah, it's just based on output without looking at the reasons behind why.
Wiley came in for his first game for Carlton. Was he basically thrown under a bus, having to tag Pendlebury?
Well, I don't think he was thrown under a bus. I mean, he's done it before. He's played. How many? Has he played a dozen games or something like that? Maybe 10. Yeah, he's played before and done that job, and apparently been reasonable at it. So, I mean, it's his first senior game for a long time. So, in a way, I guess you could just argue that for a first game in a long time, but.
Anyone that watches state league games compared to AFL games would be able to tell you that there's a bit of intensity there at state level, but the speed just isn't there. And it really looked like to me that big gap of him not playing any senior games at AFL level was what really found him out. He always, every single time he got the ball, he thought he had longer, which he obviously didn't because he was always caught and stuff. And playing on Pendlebury is a very tough ask. But playing on Pendlebury for his first game for us, I don't think that was a huge issue. But playing on Pendlebury for his first senior game back after a while is probably more what exposed him.
Yep. Bryce Gibbs.
Yep, another one like Lockie.
He's copped a fearful shellacking around the traps from Carlton supporters. Pretty much due to a perceived lack of effort. Is that the way you guys saw it?
There was just no team cohesion. I don't know. I can't sit here and single-handedly point out every single individual player that put in probably a lack of effort because it was a lack of playing together as well. And no one looked like a team. And he's usually a big part of what keeps us together. And I only saw it on TV, so it's hard to see he's running off the camera, which is what I usually look for. But on camera, it didn't look good.
Yeah, it was no real manic attack on the footy for much of the game. They didn't run for each other. They didn't support each other. They didn't bump or shepherd for each other. Once they had offloaded the ball, they basically jogged behind the play. I did notice. Look, I thought on the night Murphy's effort was quite reasonable. However, some of the football shows during the week highlighted a couple of instances where Murph just was running beside somebody who basically put 20 metres on him with Murph jogging and put themselves in positions to score. And it looked really, really bad. Did you guys saw those shows? Did you see that? What we talked?
No, I didn't see that. Would have been really interesting to watch because I thought he had a good game. So
were they on KTV?
Yeah. So it's a Fox show. So Jamie Elliott basically after a stoppage and Murph had run forward and just outside our defensive 50, Murph's there, Elliott's beside him. Elliott broke out to the left wing a little bit more, to the left pocket, while Murph's just sort of jogged through the centre. And I think a ball came in, it was a one-on-one contest, and Collingwood player marked it and just did a little dinky kick over the top to Elliott in our goal square, so there was nobody there. And Murphy was 30 metres away. He hadn't even made the effort to get back. And when there was several instances of our players just dying on the play because they weren't involved in it, because they're not seeing how it's unfolding. So they're not doing the work. AFL football is all about unrewarded running. So you're going to do a whole lot of running, and 9 times out of 10, that running is going to be unrewarded. You're not going to get involved in the play.
I think it was at half-time, talking about your unrewarded running and stuff. At half-time, I think there was a stat where Collingwood had a fair bit more possessions than us, but they had doubled our tackles. We had 25 and they had 50.
Yeah. How does that happen?
That was horrible.
And if that's not indicative of a lack of work rate, I don't know. And they came out during the week. A bit of a Freudian slip, but Gibbs came out during that week and said that they want to send Mick out a winner.
Yeah,
we're just like, and I've said, and he said it twice in the same interview. We're like, send him out. Is he actually going after this game? It was sort of the way he was putting it. And I thought, well.
Maybe he wanted to go out a winner, and the guys want to keep him around because apparently he's good with the players. So he played really horribly, so he didn't want to go after a loss like that. Oh, rumours,
conspiracy theory. Yeah. I mean, again, it's hard to single players out, but there's some players in our side who aren't really offering a lot. They might offer a little bit of effort, but the players that don't put in the effort, I want to see dropped. I want to see traded. Bugger, I've had enough of it. Get rid of them. Mm-hmm. If you're going to see such wild inconsistency from the likes of Bryce Gibbs from week to week when he's got all the talent in the world, then there's got to be a breaking point. I mean, the guy's not making AA squads. He's a number one draft pick with a lot of skill. He should be actually up there fighting for the best All-Australian squads every year. Be able to be spoken about as being up near the elite, but he's nowhere near it. I don't want to say get rid of him out of the side. He's best 22 all day long. So we've got to try to forget the fact that he was a number one draft pick, and if he's our 20th best player, so be it. As long as we just have to get other elite talent into the side, but you can't forgive a lack of effort. And if he's got value, and he's going to put in every second game, going to put in efforts like that. Trade him. Get rid of him. It's a cancer in our side if players are doing it. And it's not just Gibbs, but he's the high-profile guy. He's the one with the talent that we know can do better. And that's why we pick on those players. Not just because we're looking for a scapegoat, but because we know that they can do better and they've shown they can do better. Mind you, that applies to most of our side. All these guys have shown form far beyond what they're currently exhibiting, apart from a select few, and we come back to the likes of Doherty and Cripps and the players of the future like that. But it's sort of like you get to the stage where you go, all right, okay, if you keep going down this path, guys, change has got to happen.
Yeah.
So let's not actually redeem ourselves at all, because that's just papering over the cracks. Yeah. Let's make it just really embarrassing.
Yeah, well, see, that's what I say every year when we have our really big embarrassing loss. Like, at least we can't hide from this and paper over the cracks. But then we do it again next year.
Yeah, but the pressure's constantly on now. This is unrelenting pressure.
Yeah, well, I'd agree with you, but I've said it all before. It happens every year.
It's really made me take a step back and think, geez, have we overrated so many of our players? Like, where we thought, hey, this is actually a good team?
Well, when they put in the effort, we do have a lot of good players, but they're not putting in the effort. That's the problem. That's what really, really gets to me.
What I hate is all these idiots on BigFooty who just bag us out and you shit list, and you go, get out. We've got a lot of good players, and this all clicks and that, and suddenly you have this realization. You go, are all the idiots right, and we're absolutely deluded?
Oh. Yeah, that's a purgatory feeling.
And I hate the team for doing that to me.
Yeah, and you know what makes it even worse is all the years I spent on BigFooty. Like, I think I've got a decent knowledge on building a team, a balanced list, and what it takes to have a decent team and all that. And then something like this happens, and I look back at all the stuff over the last few years, or what I've thought about all the players. I start to think, am I wrong? Have I been this wrong this whole time? Do I even know anything? Why do I even do the podcast? I don't know what I'm talking about. We should call Joe Blow off the street. He'd probably know more than I do about football. Probably one of the most damning things I've heard since the game was when Judd was being interviewed in one of the shows afterwards, or by, I can't remember who, and he actually mentioned that the culture's been quite poor in his time at Carlton, where there's a lot of players that are just playing to get a game and to get a contract extension, and that's really obvious. I honestly don't think we have enough players on the list to drop all the players that didn't put in effort on Friday night.
No, but we need to send a message
sure.
If you start dropping high-profile players...
Yeah. I completely agree with you.
If that doesn't get the message through, then we're just going to have to start weeding out a lot of them and start again, because these players are mentally fragile and they're a bunch of coach killers.
Yep, I completely agree with you. They need to be dropped, especially the high-profile senior list leadership group ones that aren't the effort. Because that's who the kids follow.
Yeah. Look, I've got to say, looking at the dressing room after the match, they did look like they were hurting. The players did look pretty disappointed and did look like they were genuinely unhappy with themselves. So hopefully that means something. And unfortunately, we're playing. Our opposition this week isn't somebody who's expected to give us a massive contest. So we could easily come out and beat up on them and think that all our problems are solved. I would have rather we're actually having taken on a genuine opposition this week, but just to show that these guys are serious and we can actually measure something from it. But that'll wait for another week. We'll probably have a good win, get ahead of ourselves again, and get smashed the next week. So. This is the pattern. This, unfortunately, is the pattern that Carlton find themselves in.
Yeah, no. When I see them running around not putting in effort like that, I'm not usually one to leave games early or turn off the TV early, but it genuinely hurts.
Oh yeah,
watching them not care. That's the worst part.
Yep. Look, hypocritically, I just said that Armfield really put in, but I don't understand why David Allard is currently getting a game. I know he puts in, and that's why I'm a hypocrite. But he doesn't.
He shouldn't be getting a game, but because he puts in, he should be getting a game over the people that aren't. It's one of those players.
Well, I guess
you can't have too many of those workman type players and
too many meat and potato players.
Exactly.
Right. But Armfield's point of difference is he has pace.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'd pick Armfield over Allard. Most matchups. There are some matchups where Allard might come in a bit handy, but the reason why Allard's getting a game in a team with Armfield and stuff, where he probably shouldn't be, based on his ability, is pretty bad indication of where our side is at the moment.
Are injuries any factor that's worthy? I'm not going to say excuse, but is it something is that why Allard's getting a game? We do have a number of players not on the park at the moment, which we would like there.
It probably does have a little bit of a bearing, but it shouldn't.
No, it
really shouldn't. It might be having a small bearing, like maybe one or two people that might be picked before him might be out. But overall, he really shouldn't be getting games consistently like he is.
And why is Nick Graham not in the side ahead of Allard, for example? And I think exactly. Nick made some noises after that game about players that have played well in the VFL that'll probably get their chance. So I assume because Graham was one of the best in the VFL over the weekend that he will be getting the call up. But the thing is, he gets a call up as a sub for a couple of games, or he might get one full game and he's dropped again. If Allard can get a string of 4 matches in a row based on minimal output, minimal effect on the contest, then surely Graham can at least get a cluster of games to show something.
Do they play the same position?
I think they wanted Graham to play high half forward, didn't they?
Yeah, I can't remember. Like they want him to push, high half forward, push into the midfield, but I think they want Allard to play half forward but push close to the goals.
Well, geez, I'll tell you what, with the way he's going, the way he's getting ragdolled and pushed out of the contest, play Murphy bloody up forward and high half and actually stick Graham in the centre.
No, for sure. Well, now with the way our side is, if Graham gets the call up, it's his time to put in and actually get his string of games. If he gets up there and puts in a solid effort, I can't see why he'd get dropped or continue to be sub. Now, any players that want to come up after that effort, now is their chance to really put in and get a spot at AFL level.
Yep. And I'm trying to think who else played well in the VFL. I think
Watson's a consideration, a genuine consideration.
Yeah, with Lockie out.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I haven't been a big fan of Watson because he's not very agile. He doesn't take a lot of marks, but I guess if you played Watson up forward and he was able to snag a mark a game, get a free kick, here and there, whatever, maybe 2 or 3 opportunities, he's going to nail them all.
Yeah, that's what I reckon. And Essendon get away with having Joe Danaher in their side, Mr. Horizontal Specky.
Yeah.
I can't see Watson having less impact on a game than he does.
Yeah. And we've got a couple of other rookies that would be interesting to try out too. Tom Field, but we need another long-term injury for him to get a game. But we've got a few players due to come back shortly, but they're short of a gallop. Obviously, Cruiser was supposed to resume in the VFL last week. That didn't happen, but I don't know if he's back on the 2 to 3 week waiting list. I don't know what he is, but Kieran Byrne should be just about over his hammy. Dale Thomas is getting very, very close. So we should have a little bit, more to talk about over the second half of the season, but the damage has already been done.
Yep.
Anyway, look, we'll move on to, if we have to. I don't really see the point, but we'll move on to pre-game pep talk.
Pre-game pep talk.
So just
not really a pep talk.
No, it's not really a pep talk.
Pre-game minor discussions. Pre-game.
What is it? What do the Americans use? Pre-game Pepto-Bismol. What is it? It's Pepto-Bismol. It's like some sort of antacid for heartburn. That's what we should be calling it.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So we play the Brisbane Lions.
Yeah, we pray too.
Yeah, pep game prayers
on Mother's Day. So it's a perfect opportunity to, if you want to give mum something for Mother's Day, take Dad to the football, make him miserable.
See, you'd say that, but in my household, my mum's the passionate Carlton lady.
Brisbane are in. That's the one saving grace is Brisbane are in probably worse shape than we are. But
they've got Swan. They got Greg Swan, so they'll be all right.
And they got the best midfield in the AFL pre-season. That's one thing that our we're down at ourselves about our poor footballing judgment. A lot of people on Big Footy said that Brisbane would be top 8 and they'd be rising up, and I didn't really see it. They didn't have much else but the midfield, and that's the way it's sort of panning out. They probably have a couple of players to come back, but so do we, so we don't get that excuse.
No. Hopefully Sam Doherty tears him a new one. So it looks like we got something good from him.
Well,
we probably has, but the way things are looking at the moment, I just want one of our ex-Brisbane boys. Lockie's out injured, so hopefully Sam Doherty can do it.
Sam Doherty recently signed for 3 years, and he's made a lot of statements basically about wanting to see how he can help the club, and it's sort of one of those speeches, ask not what your country can do for you, but you can do for your country. So he makes all the right noises, and everybody's in love with him. And it seemed a long time ago that pre-season he was everybody's whipping boy. So
my man crush grows daily.
Sam. Yeah, I like Sam. He puts in. He just needs to clean up some of his disposal under pressure. When the rest of the team clicks and works together, he does really well. But when they're not, trying to come off half-back with no one working hard to kick to, of course, it's going to look bad for you too.
Yeah, I noticed, again, on those football shows, Jonathan Brown doing a bit of talking about, Brisbane Lions woes and having 5 players leave, prior to last season. And he names 4 of them every time, and it's like he's forgotten who Sam Doherty is, because you'll name all the others, your Longer and Carnices and Yao and whoever the other one was, but he names them, but he always leaves out Sam, and I kind of thought that Sam Doherty is probably doing better than all those other 4, but anyway. Is it worth talking about matchups for this game, or did we do it? Is there much to match up with? I don't know. I don't know what we're going to look like.
They don't have much to match up on, and we don't have much to match up with. So I think it's a
bit. Maybe we can move the goalposts out to the top of the 50-metre arcs and just let the midfield battle there.
Just have like a Super 8 game.
Yeah, I reckon if we did that, we'd have to widen the gap between the 2 goalposts by an extra 15-20 metres so we can kick something.
Oh, just put one goalpost on each boundary line and give hope that,
mate, they'd be out on the fools all day. Are you laughing or crying?
I don't know. Look, at various stages, the tears sort of dry up, and you can only laugh, can't you? Because it is the best comedy show in town.
I was thinking about
2-for-1
going
tickets
down to the local AFL store or watch or whatever, and buying some tackle buddies, the little inflatable things, and taking them down to what are we now, Icon Park or whatever, and just donating them to the club because obviously they don't have anything to practice on.
It's a bit more creative than a truckload of fertilizer, I suppose.
Oh dear!
It's more constructive.
Yeah.
Well, we should be opening up a dude ranch rather than a bait shop because we are very big on corralling and not very good on as far as tackles go. So,
for sure.
These guys, there's nothing else to talk about. I know we're paying out on our own club a little bit tonight, but
we only do it because we care.
That's it.
Because it hurts, really.
We love the club. The club is bigger than what's happening around it at the moment. It's bigger than the personalities that hang around. It's bigger than power brokers. It's bigger than whoever's in charge of the club right now. It's bigger than the players currently wearing the Guernsey. It's been around for 150 years. Everybody there at the moment is but a footnote in its history. So we just want to see us, actually get to a point where we can be proud again, and that's unfortunately not in our hands. So we can only make recommendations and put the pressure on where we see fit, and hopefully somebody there is currently doing something that we can't see that's going to arrest this slide we're in.
Well said.
All right, I think we'll leave it there. Thanks, Happy Dad, for coming back, and
yeah, you're welcome. I think I got a few laughs, so that's something to be happy about.
Yeah, I don't know. Was it Happy Dad or is it Sleepy Dude? What's the?
I'm sleeping fine. You have to talk to the.
Somebody's not getting up during the night. All right, and thanks, Dr. Jeffrey Edelston.
Please see my receptionist for appointments.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.
Yeah.